Vlogmas day 3. Vlogmas day 3. Okay, just wanted to get this captured. This is a mind map that I'll do every 10 days or so. It's not always exact, but I like to do 10-day plans because sometimes months have 4 weeks, sometimes they have 5 weeks. It's kind of odd. So even though I live in the week, I like to do my plans in 10-day spans because most months are going to have at least 30 days. So I'm like, okay, if I got this done by the first third of the month, this done by the second third of the month. So I do basically do it in threes, right? I work in 3s and 10s, so you'll see that a lot. Mostly 3s. But anyway, the point is, I'll take my next 10 days that I'm looking out and I'll create this little sort of diamond. The last part is always the 10th day, right? I hope you can see this. I don't know if I can really zoom in. Let's see. So we're on this part right here. So let me cover this part up because not that you can't see it, but it's probably going to be confusing if I'm speaking to both of them. So here's what. I'll start with the next day. So I created this chart on the 3rd. I'll start with the next day at least, just because that first day you're already in it. So you really, can't really plan it. And then I'll do another thing for 3 days. So we're going to take this and put it into a 3-day one. It seems like a lot, but it actually helps me to focus on what I need to focus on now as opposed to like trying to focus on everything. So I know that these are the next 3 days and that's what I'm just really going to focus on because there's not much I can do about the rest of it until those days get here. But what it does is it gives me an overview. So like the 5th through the 13th, right? Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days on the 3 sides of the diamond. And then that last one is like, I kind of use it like a catch-all, or I try not to really plan anything for that day because things are going to move around and change throughout these. But pretty much, let me just get to it. You make your little diamond and then you put, so I'll just start down here so you can kind of see like how it would have looked when I started. So I make my little diamond and I know this part of the diamond is the first 3 days. This is the second 3 days. This is the third 3 days. So the 9 days and then the 10th day. So then essentially, and that's what you see up here, essentially I'm just working my way back. Then I put in the dates and I'm like, okay, 3 notches, 3 notches, 3 notches. And I'm like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, blah, 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 right? And I'm like, okay, well, I know this is happening on the 12th, or I know this is happening on the 7th. And I'll start to mark out like either deadlines or events, things that aren't going to probably change. And then sometimes I'll put in like this little bracket right here that lets me know when the weekend is. Because, some stuff you're like, oh, I'll do that on a Saturday when I have a bunch of time or whatever. And sometimes you're like, this has to be done by Wednesday because it's due on Thursday, right? So I typically don't put the days on all of them. But if I know like, oh, I want to mark it, I'll put the days, right? So, but anyway. You're going through and you're saying, this is the first the first 3 days, second 3 days, third 3 days. You put your events on there, you put your deadlines on there, and then you start to see like, okay, well, if this is going to be done here, and you start to think if it's going to be successful, then this would have been done before that. This would have been done before that. Then other things start to pop up and you can just put those where they need to go. So that's how I come up with this. And then what I'll do after that is I'll take those first 3 days and put them in a triangle of just what I'm working on in the current 3 days, right? So then that just means everything up to this point. And I'm not even going to worry about any of this because if anything that I have is down here, then I probably would have put a part of it up here, right? So like this work deadline. Part of that is to email the spreadsheet. So as long as that's done by the 6th, then we'll be right on track for the 9th. So I don't have to worry about anything beyond this line because I put it all, working up here. So that's how I do my 10 days. And I mean, I'll generally like keep that around for a while, but pretty much I'm taking from it and putting it into my 3 days or putting it into my current day. So I'll show you that part next. But before I show you that, I'll go into this side, because what happens is I'll do these upside down triangles to think out components of goals that I have. So like with filming, I know I have Vlogmas, I have those two sisters recording coming up this week, and then I have some admin stuff to do and some editing. So those are just different components. And then this is a fitness. This is a fitness little triangle here. I'm trying to do 1,000 ounces of water within 10 days. So basically 100 ounces a day. I've done pretty well today, actually. I think I got down like 70 ounces, but I still have time to drink more. So, and then I want to do 10 workouts in 10 days, and I'm doing my meal preps. And, you know, this has to do with meals and healthy snacks. So these are the components of these goals that I'm basically going to work into what I'm doing here. So you'll kind of see that, because weekend prep actually includes meal prep. So I could actually put that, right? Because I'm already doing that. I didn't work out today, but I did set up my laundry for working out, doing my workouts this week. I did do water. So like all of these components are going to show up in my days, right? Filming, I'm vlogging right now. Those two sisters is not until Thursday. See, and I have that on here. And then I have some admin stuff, and I'll do some editing later today. So all of these components are showing up in my schedule. I think that's the thing that people sort of like aren't successful at. And a lot of us, when you sit down to plan, you just think of like all the things that are due. And then sometimes we don't really track back to say, when am I going to do it? Right. So that's why I do the whole 10-day thing. And I already started working on some of my work stuff. I won't really get into that because it's like, you know, I don't think it's proprietary, but it's not, you know, it's not something that I'm going to talk about on my personal blog. But yeah, so I set out. One of the first things I did, which I probably should have said, was I set out my main priorities for the week, and that's what these are. Like in the next 10 days, what are my major priorities? And it's definitely fitness, it's filming, and it's work. Because I know I have a lot of things I'm doing at work. I'm doing this Vlogmas, and I'm really, you know, hitting the fitness. And there's other things that are important to me too. However, these are my priorities, right? Priority areas, meaning what needs to get done. If other things fall by the wayside, what are the things that absolutely need to be focused on? And it's not to say that the other things in my life are not important. It's just that if some of those things didn't get focused on as much as these did, then I will be okay. But these things have to get focused on for me to have what I feel will be a successful week. So we've already seen this, the 10-day diamond. So for my 10-day plans, and it doesn't look like a lot because I'm not getting all detailed. I'm just kind of like marking out what's what so that I can see that, okay, I don't necessarily need to worry about some of these things that fall below this line or some of the things that are going to come over here, because I really just need to focus on these three things. And if I do need to think about some of the things that happen over here, then I will pull them up in little steps. Right? Because like everything has a beginning, middle, and end. So if it's due on the 10th, let's say, right, then I should have some of it done by the 8th. I should have some of it done by the 6th. And I should have started it by the 4th. Like that's my thinking. It's like, okay, I call it the 3-point rule. Like if it's due on this day, then you should have worked on it at least twice before then. Not everything works out like that, but if you just have a mind for like what's important to you, what your priorities are, then you can take a second and think about what absolutely has to be done. And so that's the beginning of it. Next time you see this, we're going to draw the 4th through the 6th into its own triangle. And that's when we're going to see how the days actually get planned out by what the priorities are for the 10 days. And like, look, things could change, but these are the things that I have set out for, that if nothing does change, then at least I'll be prepared and I can be successful for the things that I'm calling my priorities. All right, so that's enough for now. I'm gonna go back over here and finish doing what I'm doing over here, but then you'll see me later for the 3-day breakout and the daily planning. Ta-ta for now.